Hi, thanks so much for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast. I am your host, Zach Randles-Friedman. Today is Sunday, June 7th, 2026, and we are day 7 of Pride Month. One full week in, and the through line is refusing to push back. And today the through line is refusing to back down. A nun who decided faith means showing up. A Senate candidate who turned a slur into a stand. A soccer match designed to make a statement governments can't silence, and neighbors who showed up and said, not in our town. So let's get into our first story with the 81-year-old nun affirming trans kids. We start with a story that runs against just about every assumption people make about faith and queerness. Her name is Sister Nancy. She's 81 years old, she's a Catholic nun, and she's made it her work to help Catholic parents affirm and accept transgender children. Not tolerate and not pray about it, but affirm. And that line from her has been traveling all weekend is this. She tells parents they have to realize it's not about them. It's about their child. That's the whole sermon right there. So much of the pain we see in religious families gets framed around the parents' discomfort, the parents' theology, the parents' fear of what the congregation will say. Sister Nancy flips it. The kid is the one living this. The kid is the one whose safety and dignity is on the line. Your job as a parent isn't to be comfortable, it's to love them out loud. The right has spent years insisting that you have to choose, that either you're a person of faith or you support trans people, and neither both. Sister Nancy is 81 years old and Catholic, and she's calling that bluff. Affirmation and faith aren't opposites. For a lot of people, they're the same act. If you grew up in a church that told you you didn't belong, this one's for you. I loved Sister Nancy. Next, a gay Maine candidate called a slur and posted the video online. So our next story takes us to Maine. It's about what you do when somebody tries to humiliate you in public. Jordan Wood is a 36-year-old Democrat running in U.S. Senate in Maine, the seat held by Republican Susan Collins. He's openly gay and he's married to a Jewish man. And back in March, at a town hall in Holton, Maine, an older man claimed to be a Democrat confronted Wood, ranting conspiracy theories and voter fraud about non-citizens supposedly voting. Then he turned it personal. He called Wood a faggot. He told him, "I'm not finished with you, jackass," and stormed out. And here's the part that makes this a Pride Month story. Wood didn't bury that video. On June 1st, the first day of Pride, he posted the footage himself on purpose, and he said he was sharing it precisely because refusing to be intimidated is what this month is about. Think about the choice there. The easy thing, the one thing that consultants would tell you to do is hide it. Don't give the slur oxygen. Don't look like a victim. Wood did the opposite. He looked straight at the camera and said, "This is what we face, and I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen, and I'm not going anywhere." And on the substance, in the moment, Wood didn't take the bait on the fake voter fraud panic either. He calmly pointed out that the widespread voter fraud claims pushed by the orange convicted felon and his allies, including Maine's own former governor, are a hoax. So he refused to be rattled on the slur and refused to be rattled on the lie. That's the assignment, honestly. You don't beat this stuff by flinching. You beat it by standing there, on the record, unbothered, and letting everyone see who the actual bigot is in the room. I seen this video, and this guy handled it so well. I love it. Next, the 2026 World Cup Pride match, Egypt versus Iran. So story 3 takes us to the soccer pitch, and it's a fascinating one. Seattle's one of the host cities of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and the local organizing committee there plans something they're calling a Pride match. A World Cup fixture on June 26th at Lumen Field on Friday of Seattle's official Pride weekend, built around celebrating LGBTQ plus community. Artwork from Washington State's artists honoring queer people displayed around the stadium in the city. The works. Here's the twist. They planned all this before the draw, before anyone knew which teams would actually play the match. And now the fixtures are set, and the Pride match is going to be Egypt versus Iran. 2 countries where being gay can get you killed. In Iran, the maximum penalty for same-sex relations is death. In Egypt, morality laws are routinely weaponized around and prosecute LGBTQ plus people. And these are the two teams now slotted in a match designed as a celebration of queer life. Organizers say it's going ahead exactly as planned. They said the soccer has a unique power to unite people across borders and beliefs. And to be clear, this is the local Seattle's committee event, not an official FIFA program. FIFA doesn't get the credit here. You can read this two ways, and they are both true. There's something defiant about playing Pride at a stadium hosting two governments that criminalize us, visibility in the exact place they want us to be erased. But we all remember Qatar in 2022 when FIFA threatened players over rainbow armbands and the support evaporated the second it got inconvenient. So the question for June 26 is simple. Is this real solidarity or a rainbow backdrop with no follow through? We'll be watching and bring you updates after June 26. Next, trans bartender defends herself. Now she's facing felonies. Our fourth story is a hard one and deserves your attention. A transgender bartender was assaulted by 3 men. She defended herself. She pulled a gun on the men attacking her, and she is now the one facing felony charges. Let that order of events land. 3 men assault her, she survives, and the system response is to charge the victim. This is a pattern we have to name because it is not a coincidence. When trans people, and especially trans women, defend themselves against violence, they are routinely treated as the aggressor. The same act that would have read as self-defense for someone who gets reclassified the moment a trans person is the one who survived. We watch it in case after case. The threat of trans women's life is treated as background noise, and her response to the threat is treated as the crime. I'm not going to pretend to have every fact a courtroom will eventually weigh in on, but I'll say it plainly. A person attacked by 3 people has the right to defend herself, and the reflex to prosecute the survivor instead of the attackers tells you exactly whose safety this system takes seriously. We'll track where this case goes and bring you updates as they're available. Next, they tried to ban trans people from the swimming holes, and the town said no. And after that last story, we need a win, and here's a real one. In the community where some residents pushed to bar trans people from public swimming spots, like the local swimming holes, the shared water everybody used in the summer, the effort ran into a wall, and the wall was the neighbors. When it came time for locals to actually weigh in, they overwhelmingly said they supported trans rights. Not narrowly, overwhelmingly. The people pushing the ban assumed the silent majority was on their side, and it turned out the majority wasn't silent, and it wasn't even on their side. This is the thing that anti-trans movement keeps getting wrong. They mistake the loudness of a few for the will of many. And every time it's actually put to ordinary people, your neighbors, the folks at the town meeting, the parents at the pool, the answer keeps coming back the same. Leave them alone, let them swim. This isn't a crisis. So if you ever feel like the whole country has turned against us, remember the swimming holes. Most people, when you get a real human face in front of them instead of a fear campaign, choose decency. That's worth holding on to for day 7 of Pride. Next, ICE to stop reporting when detainees die after release. So our 6th story is an accountability story, and it matters to our community more than it may at first appear. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is moving to stop reporting deaths of detainees who die soon after their release from custody. The context is grim. At least 18 detainees have died within a month of being released, and more have died or still in detention. The agency's response to that body count isn't more transparency, it's less. Stop counting and the problem disappears on paper. Why does this land on the LGBTQ plus show? Because queer and trans people, especially trans women and asylum seekers, are fleeing persecution and detained at disproportionate rates and face brutal conditions inside, including denial of medical care and gender-affirming treatment. When the agency holding them decides to stop reporting who dies after walking out those doors, the peoples most likely to vanish from the record are the most vulnerable ones. You can't demand justice for a death the government has decided not to record. This is happening under the Orange Convicted Felons Administration as part of a broader push to shield immigration enforcement from scrutiny. Transparency about who dies in government custody is the bare minimum. Removing it from a paperwork change, it's a choice who gets to be forgotten. Unbelievable. And our last story is Mel C perceived as gay, and a very good answer. So we'll close with day 7, but with some joy. Spice Girl Mel C, Sporty Spice herself, is getting a lot of love online this weekend for her reaction being perceived as gay. Instead of the panic defense no homo routine so many straight celebrities still search for, she took it as exactly what it is, not an insult. The internet predictably adored her for it. It sounds small, it isn't. For decades, the assumption of queerness was treated as a slur to be denied as fast as possible. And every time a public figure scrambled to distance himself from us, it sent a quiet message that being gay was something shameful to be accused of. So when someone just shrugs and takes it in stride, that's the culture shifting in real time. At this and in the same pride spirit over New York City's hall this week, the celebration including drag, a drag Spider-Man making the rounds, and the Pride Month voguing right there in the seat of city government. Voguing at City Hall, the ballroom scene, born before Black and queer Latinos who were shut out of everywhere else, dancing in the building that runs the city. That's not a small thing either, and that our culture is taking up space it once looked down on. That's the note. I will leave you with this story, Defiant, Alive, and Dancing. I also want to report Madonna on Friday did a surprise open free concert in Times Square. She appeared, she sent out a grinder alert to all of her fans. Times Square filled up very quickly, and she came out and did songs from her old music, her new album, and she wowed the crowd. I watched it on YouTube, and I regret that I couldn't have been there. I wish I would have been in New York because her performance was amazing, just like she is. So that's the news for Sunday, June 7th, day 7 of Pride, 1 weekend, and here's the week is telling us. The people trying to erase us are loud, but they are not the majority. A nun chose love, a candidate stared down a slur and posted the receipts. A town chose its trans neighbors, and our culture is voguing in City Hall, and Madonna is still taking over the world. So hold on to all the harder stories, the bartender, the detainees, because both are true at once, and pride is always meant to carry both. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman. Please share this episode with anyone you think it would resonate with. Also, please leave a review because your reviews on Spotify and Apple and any of the other podcast platforms helps get this news to other people. So take care, and I'll be back tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news. Thanks, and have a great Sunday.